the stars, but I will be thine always. My Lord, I will be thine always. Devotees may come, devotees may go. Devotees may come, devotees may go, but I will be thine always. My Lord, I will be thine always. When I die, look into mine eyes. When I die, look into mine eyes. They will mutely say, I will be thine always. My Lord, I will be thine always. I may go far, farther than the stars. I may go far, farther than the stars, but I will be thine always. My Lord, I will be thine always. Devotees may come, devotees may go. Devotees may come, devotees may go, but I will be thine always. My Lord, I will be thine always. When I die, look into mine eyes. When I die, look into mine eyes. They will mutely say, I will be thine always. My Lord, 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 I will be thine always.
The voice of God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready. And when he asks us to dedicate our lives more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready. Divine Mother.
Divine Mother.
Heavenly Father.
Heavenly Father.
Friend, beloved God.
Friend, beloved God.
Great Master.
Great Master.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Babaji Krishna.
Babaji Krishna.
Lahiri Mahashai.
Lahiri Mahashai.
Swami Shri Yukteswar.
Swami Shri Yukteswar.
Beloved Guru.
Beloved Guru.
Paramhansa Yogananda.
Paramhansa Yogananda.
Saints of all religions.
Saints of all
With
religions.
deep love and gratitude.
With deep love and
We
gratitude.
bow before you.
We bow before you.
Help us
Help us
to deepen our attunement
to deepen our attunement
in body, mind, and soul
in body, mind, and soul
to your supernal spirit,
to your supernal
your
spirit,
spirit of joy,
your spirit of joy,
of love,
of love,
and help us
and help us
to receive
and
to share it with all.
and to share it with all.
Amen.
Amen.
At thy
Happy to be here with you. And I want to share from Whispers from Eternity. This is Yogananda's book of, thank you, prayer demands. And this one is called Endless Thrills of Delight. I attuned my life with thine. Now my life has become a long, unbroken inspiration. Thy fountain of bliss refreshes and delights me night and day, whether I be wakeful, fast asleep, or dreaming fondly of thee. Oh, what has become of me? Delight on overwhelming delight, endless, indescribable thrills of divine delight spray unceasingly over me. Oh, aged nectar, wine of centuries, I found thee at last, and will taste of thy sweetness forever, forever, forever. Stay in tune. That's the message today. And as I was thinking about this topic, you think of, at least I immediately thought of the guitar. I thought of musical instruments. You have to tune an instrument, right? And if I played the guitar out of tune, you would notice it. It would be quite obvious that it wasn't a full, rich, resonant sound. But it occurred to me, you need a starting note, right? You need a note to first tune to attune to. And that is like the guru. And not a personality. By the guru, we mean that perfect, as St. John is saying here in the reading, to all those who received him, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God. What are we receiving? We're receiving that Christ consciousness. Again, the light, the divine light, the divine perfect sound, the divine joy of God. And so it's all this process of attunement. It's really the entire path, our role as disciples, as spiritual aspirants, as those that are taking up this path of self-realization. Our role is that we're deepening, we're working on our attunement in body, mind, and soul in every way. And it reminded me of, I couldn't help but think of Ananda. We have her on the altar. And you see the fruit of a life, someone that has dedicated their life to this art and science, if you will, of attunement. And she had such a beautiful way about her in Bharat, who some of you know, some don't, when he gave the eulogy. I just thought it was so remarkable that the way he could speak about her just a day and a half or whatever it was after her passing. And he told that story. Many of you heard that he had this bell. Bharat's a naturalist. He's like a world famous author, and he's written many books sharing nature and whatnot. But he was in Brazil doing this workshop. And he said he was staying at this person, the host, the sponsor of the workshop. They had a very nice home in Brazil. And he said they gave him a bell in his room. And all he had to do was ring that bell, and a servant would come and serve him fresh guava juice, mango, He said it was very tasty. And so he told Ananda, his wife, about this while he was in Brazil. And Bharat said, she assured me that the bell would not work in North America. And when Dharmadevi and I were talking to Bharat this week, just a few days after the eulogy, and he said, I should have proposed that we move to South America. But you see, like, this is the fruit of attunement. It's joy. It's being in tune with that. God is a spirit. And as the great yogis and realized masters tell us, that spirit is Satchidanandam. ever existing, ever conscious, and as Master added, ever new bliss. And since there's only one reality, we're all part of that. And so our nature, by birthright, what he has, we have. Our nature by birthright is one also of divine joy, of divine love, of the. I loved how Master used to describe God as the greatest of the great. He's beyond space and time. He's the greatest of the great. And you, as his child, you have that. We have that potential greatness within us. So, of course, the question comes: how do we deepen our attunement to this aged wine, this aged nectar of the wine of the mystics? Oh, that reminds me of a joke, if you'll indulge me, that Master used to tell, that there was these three Scotsmen, and they went to church on Sunday. And when the collection plate came around, the one Scotsman fainted, and the other two pulled him out of the church to avoid the collection. And there was speaking of aged nectar, there was an Irish woman, and she was going through customs, and she had this bottle of Irish whiskey. And the customs officer said, "Hey, what is this, lady? You've got a bottle of Irish whiskey." She said, "Oh, no, my son, it's holy water." And he opened it up and smelled it. "Ah, Irish whiskey." And she said, "Praise be the Lord." So it's God's joy. Yeah, we have to learn to laugh, but we have to also learn to laugh in the right proportion. Right? That's not that kind of laughter where we're laughing, like Swami said. It's not laughing at others. It's laughing with him. That's why bliss is. It's this great unifier. When we feel, like Master said at the end of his poem, Samadhi, when he was describing that state, I, a tiny bubble of laughter, am become the sea of mirth itself. And how do we do that? How do we deepen our attunement? I had the fortune this week of speaking with Nitai. Some of you know Nitai. He started the Living Wisdom Schools at Ananda back in the early 70s. He's a great soul. And he was telling me these incredible stories. He discovered Education for Life, which is this system of it's student-centered versus curriculum-centered. We're so in the West, we all grew up in it, so it's hard to kind of parse yourself out of it. But we grew up in this, you get jammed information, right? It's like, and then you show up in an exam, you show up and throw up, right? And if you pass the exam, that means you're smart, and so on. But Nitai learned, he asked Swami about, well, what did Master do? Maybe I should go to Ranchi. Maybe I should study Montessori or this. And Swami said, no, you need to get in tune yourself. And with your own intuition, understand these principles of Education for Life. And so that's what Nitai did. And it took him years. But he said this one story, he was with the young children, that maybe these were like 5-6-year-olds, and he had them, well, how do you feel today? Are you happy or are you sad? So if you were happy, you had your little coloring book and you colored blue, and if you were sad, you colored red. And then he would draw them out a little more. Well, why are you happy? I got the ice cream cone. Oh, I'm happy. Oh, I didn't get my toy for Christmas or whatever. Oh, I'm sad. And then one day, one of the young boys said, well, I'm happy. And he said, well, why are you happy? He said, I'm happy without a reason. And Nitai said, well, my God, happy without a reason. Doesn't that sound a lot like soul joy? We don't have to be taught it. That's why Master said, you don't have to go and acquire it. This joy is yours. It's just as we borrowed all of this really this mental debris, right, from the culture we grew up in, from uh, the tough guys on the East Coast, the tough guys from the Southwest. We got tough guys everywhere. But really remember, the greatest strength is that presence of God within. And what we're doing is we're deepening our attunement. And then so there are obstructions, there are impediments. If you've been in LA, you know that you'll hit a lot of potholes. If you Preeta was parking and she went right into a big hole, it happens. So it is on the path to self-realization that there are impediments, there are obstructions to our attunement. And there are things, it's what Sri Teshwar, like he called the meannesses of the heart: hatred, unkindness, anger, fear, pride, inferiority complex, on and on. He gave these. So our work is, it's cleansing our heart. There was a time when Swami Kriyananda was a young monk, and he got drawn into this committee with Daniel Boone and some of the other young monks, and Daniel told Swami, we're to be part of this committee to change the work, to change the organization. And so Swami got swept into this organizational fervor. And Daniel came in one day and said, oh, Mrs. I forget her name, Mrs. Harris, she's not obeying the committee. And they stormed in and they said, you're not listening to the committee. Master has asked us to do these things and this and that. And when Yogananda, when I say Master, I mean Yoganandaji, when he heard about this, he came and he laid into Swami. He said he gave him the greatest tongue lashing of his life. He said, you young hotheads, you come in there with that vibration of negativity and criticism. And there was another time too when there was a man, I think it was the Hollywood Temple right here. And there was a man that was part of that congregation that was doing something wrong. And he was trying to take down the organizations. He was doing something that was not on the up and up. And there was another man that called him out in public and forcibly and with anger. And Master thanked him. He said, thank you for helping to right that, but never put into motion negative vibrations through anger. The good that you do, it's undone when you put it into motion that way. And actually that man got caught into being critical some years later and he got taken away. So this attunement, it's within ourselves. And that's why meditation is so important, because this is what the whole reading is about today. The importance of soul receptivity is receiving the light. It's receiving the divine vibrations. And it's cleansing ourselves of those things that are those strings that are out of tune. We're just, and we become more aware. Our energy rises and we realize, oh, wow, I have an out of tune string over here. And the important thing too to remember is that Divine Mother and the Masters don't care about that. Like Master said, I feel the disciples and they're like a piano, and there might be one or two notes that are off key. He said, but you don't say it's a bad piano. That's the way Divine Mother looks at us. She sees our beauty. She sees our goodness. And it's for us to behold others in that same light. Like Yogananda said, you could go through the organization. You could talk day and night about the negative things. We could do the same thing, right, about Ananda. But he said, why look at the sewer when you have beauty all around us? Oh, God, beautiful. You have beauty in nature, and you have beauty within your own divine nature. And the way for that to be awakened is through our attunement to God within, and to attune to God within others as well. I'll close with this story that Swami was, again, when he was a young monk, shortly after that other story I told, Master asked him to grow a little beard because he looked so young, and he was teaching to people in their 40s and 50s, and he looked like he was, he was a young man. So he grew this slight beard, and someone saw him and said, "Oh, wow, you would be perfect for our pageant. We're having a Christmas pageant. We would like you to play the part of Christ." And Swami just had to stand there silently, and that was it. And when he came back to Master and was talking to him about it, Master said, "I heard that you played the part well." And Swami said, "Well, sir, I'd much rather be like Christ than look like Christ." And Swami was kind of light and like joking about it. And what would normally, like a normal friend would do, "Oh, yeah. They would just sort of be light about it. But Master said, very seriously, that will come. That will come. You will awaken to your own Christ potential. We have 7 billion potential yogi Christs, 7 billion potential yogi Buddhas. And our job is to realize the one within us, and then we'll see him everywhere. God bless you. Oh, sugar biscuit. I forgot. I wanted to, if you'll indulge me, I wanted to read this poem that I was inspired to write. 2 poems, actually. One is from Peggy Dietz's, this is Thank You, Master. This is a great book if you don't have it. It's new from Crystal Clarity. One of the things that keeps us bogged down is feeling inferiority complex. So this poem is called A Worm. I'm all bogged down from stem to stem, I'm all bogged down from stem to stern, including my interior. Because I hear that I am low, ye gods, am I inferior? O little worm, a wise man cried, you've power to move old Mother Earth. Within you hides a universe. Think again about your worth. Considered the worm with a wriggle and a squirm. That's one of her poems, but there's stories in there about her with Master. This is the one about Ananda. You hold the space for our authentic self to race towards our common beloved's faceless face. A face like yours, kindly kind, her smile sublime. O Mother Divine, I behold in your accepting rays, your unconditional gaze, your perennial smile shines as a golden memory mine, singing, oh, be thou mine. May we all be as you are now and always, Ananda.
Who is Sylvia? What is she? That all our swains commend her. Holy, fair, and wise is she. The heavens such grace did lend her, that she might admired be, that she might admired be. Is she kind as she is fair? For beauty lives with kindness. To her eyes love doth repair, to help him of his blindness, and being helped inhabits there, and being
is excelling. She excels each mortal thing. Upon the dulleth dwelling, to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands bring. Lap, O Mother, cast me not at death's door. Receive me on thy lap, O Mother, cast me not at delusion's door. Receive me on thy lap, O Mother, cast me not at death's door. Receive me on thy lap, O Mother, cast me not at delusion's door. Receive me on thy lap, O Mother, cast me not at death's door. Receive me on thy lap, O Mother, cast me not at delusion's door.